We definitely want to go for the win and for the gold medal in Baku.
You need to be dedicated, determined, almost obsessed.
My focus now is completely on these European Games. It's going to be such an historical event, I think, and I think in years to come it's going to be one of the major events for European athletes.
You cannot hide your weaknesses. A few mistakes and you're out of the game.
A lot of people crack, and it's just being able to perform under that pressure.
We always have a joke here in Serbia: if you don't win the gold medal, don't come home at all.
The countdown is nearly over to the introduction of an historic event to the sporting world. Following in the long traditions of continental games in Asia, the Americas and Africa, 2015 will see the first European Games held in Baku, Azerbaijan. The European Games will see participants and players from across the continent convene in the Land of Fire. There will be 17 days of elite competition beginning on June 12th. Situated on the shore of the Caspian Sea, 50 countries and around 6,000 athletes will take part. With 253 gold medals to be won, a total of 20 sports will feature at Baku 2015. 16 of those are Olympic events. They'll include triathlon, taekwondo, table tennis, boxing and wrestling. There'll also be 4 non-Olympic sports to debut. 12 sports will offer qualifying opportunities for the 2016 Olympic Games in Rio, including aquatics and athletics. In 2 sports, wrestling and judo, the European Games will count as the European Championships. 18 venues have been constructed for the tournament, 12 permanent and 6 temporary. Impressive new structures include the Olympic Stadium, Aquatics Centre and a purpose-built shooting centre. The Tofik Baramov Stadium, named after the infamous linesman of the 1966 World Cup final, has been renovated for archery, while the National Gymnastics Arena provides another iconic landmark. The athletes can also be sure of support too, with an estimated 600,000 spectators expected to watch the action unfold. With preparations finished, confidence is high in Baku that the first ever European Games will prove to be one of the most spectacular events of the sporting calendar. Several of the world's greatest sporting talents will be on display in Baku. The best of the best in their field, bidding to be Europe's finest. Each of the participants and players making their way to Baku travels with a tale to tell, an ambition to fulfill, and a burning desire to make their mark in the Land of Fire.
I'm a 5-time world champion, a 6-time European champion, 5-time European Union champion and Olympic champion. I go into every competition expecting to win a gold medal. As long as I'm standing up there on top of the podium with a gold medal, I'm happy.
I never raced to be in the history books or to be one of the best. I just try to focus on the next goal and make the best of myself in every race. In Holland it's quite common to go on the bike, not as much as a sport, especially not for girls. But I just liked it and I fell in love with the speed, with the freedom that the bike brought me.
The mental strength in table tennis is very important. It's 1 against 1 without contact, only with the ball. The match is often on the knife's edge. It's one of the hardest sports in the world, I can say, and yeah, it's very intense.
When I was about 8, I started to get a bit cheeky and mischievous. My granddad wanted to get me going in, the right direction and the right path. So he just took me down to the local club, and it was just by chance that it was taekwondo. And I seen all the flashy kicks and spins and just fell in love with it ever since, really.
Just before a duel in fencing, there's always a lot of tension, as it's an in or out situation. If you win, you are through. If you lose, you are out. I've been a fencer since I was 7 years old. I chose this sport instead of football because it's an individual sport. It's a one against one, but especially because of the mental challenge, the psychological duel against your opponent.
When you go in the water, you realize how quiet it can be. Complete silence. You're in that moment. It's just you and the paddle, which is good for your brain, good for the soul. You've got to have a feeling for the water. Each time you hit the water, the paddle has to enter as smoothly as possible. Every stroke has to be precise. Your timing and angle perfect.
I really can't wait to go over and box and to represent my country again in such a major competition. It's an absolute privilege and I have another chance to make history. It's always great to go into a country where they're very knowledgeable about the sport and where they have such a strong boxing team as well, and I know the atmosphere is going to be fantastic in the Crystal Hall.
My serve is quite different compared to other players. It was number 30 of the best inventions of the year of the Time magazine in America, so I mean, I'm proud of that. I go with my whole body and I'm quite tall, down on my knees, and only the ball is just a few centimeters above the table, and I think this kind of service really only I do, and it's kind of special.
Sometimes I got called the cannibal. It's of course an honor, because Eddie Merckx, the greatest cyclist of all time, has this nickname, but I just enjoy riding my bike.
I'm a perfectionist. It's in my DNA. You need to have incredible power to be at the top of this game. It's not just strength, it's also technical finesse. It's control. You've got to find a control over when you go and when you don't go. If you go too hard, you die. If you go too easy, you're done. It's a mental game as well.
There's a lot of pressure on me going into these competitions. I enjoy that pressure. I love being a favourite of every competition, and I enjoy that challenge as well. It's something that I've gotten used to over the years, and I see it as a privilege rather than a burden, really. People still haven't seen the best of me yet.
The European Games in Baku will feature 4 sports for the first time. One of those is 3-on-3 basketball, giving the world's best trio a chance to shine.
One of the biggest thing that we have is each other. You need to have enormous trust in the guy who is standing next to you. That is the key thing in our team. 3-on-3 is like, for me, it's like, I don't know, some street punk rock and roll for the basketball. Its game is far more physical than 5-on-5. It developed on the street, and we all know that the street, you need to be tough and you need to overcome all kind of things to develop your character. It's make that game much more interesting. The game is so quick. There's so much space on 3-on-3. You can express yourself more. You need to be strong. You need to have a good dribble. You need to know how to shoot. You need to know how to pass the ball. You cannot hide your weaknesses. Few mistakes and you're out of the game.
Beach soccer and karate are 2 more new sports at Baku 2015. Each event has its own iconic superstar.
The president of the World Karate Federation gave me the nickname the Diamond of Karate. Some people call me the Panther. I feel very honored to have these titles. But Rafael Agaev, the name which my father gave to me, is enough.
My name is Noel Ott. I am 21 years old. Last year, I was crowned Best Young Player in the World. and I was nominated for the title of World's Best Beach Soccer Player. I think that even Messi or Ronaldo, who are currently the best players in football, could not jump into the sand and be the best.
I want this with all my heart. And I believe that if you truly want something, you will achieve it. I believe that the first European Games in Azerbaijan will be very beautiful. We are going to compete in our homeland and we all want to win.
There are 8 teams participating in Baku, the best 8 from Europe. We are number 3 in the world. Of course, there's also Russia, Spain and Portugal. They are the top nations, but they are still beatable. They are only human too.
Although I have participated in lots of tournaments, I have to admit that I'm most excited for June. I believe that with the support of our whole nation, we will hear our national anthem in our country.
Completing the quartet of debut events at Baku 2015 is Sambo. A mix of judo and wrestling, it was developed by the Russian army in the 1920s. Sambo doesn't allow striking, and points are scored with throws and submissions. The name literally translates as unarmed self-defense. As well as new sports, Baku 2015 will also feature one unique event, as blind judo is the only Paralympic sport to be played at these games. Here's the amazing story of Azerbaijan's own Ilyan Zakiev.
I was on my military service in 1999. While on patrol, an enemy sniper's bullet hit my head. The bullet went through my head. I woke up hearing my mother's voice after 5 days in a coma. Everything around me was dark, and I lost my vision due to this injury. It was hard to get used to the mat and train in this condition. Thank God I trained harder, more intensely, with more enthusiasm. I got used to it. The responsibility of competing in front of your local supporters on home soil is huge, but it doesn't scare me. On the contrary, it gives me more enthusiasm. We'll try our best, but this is sport, and you can lose as well as win. Of course, we'll try to win.
The Baku 2015 European Games are the latest in a long line of sporting events to grace Azerbaijan. They hosted the Rhythmic Gymnastic European Championships in 2014, have welcomed the stars of WTA and the World Series of Boxing. In 2020, Baku will help stage the UEFA European Football Championships, having fought off an array of competitors to host matches in Europe's elite soccer tournament. Also, in 2016, Formula One will roar onto the streets of Baku as the world's premier motorsport event comes to the capital and its state-of-the-art circuit designed by Hermann Tilke. As the city races into sporting prominence, none of these events will be on the scale of the inaugural European Games. One of the most iconic images in the build-up to the Games is the journey of the flame. Azerbaijan is known as the land of fire, so it was fitting that the flame was first lit from the ground at Ateshka, an ancient and sacred temple on the outskirts of Baku. And in a celebration of Azerbaijan's extraordinary landscape, culture and heritage, the flame has travelled the length and breadth of the land, spreading the spirit of the Games to all 60 regions of the country. By the time the opening ceremony gets underway on June 12th, the flame would have toured for 47 days and covered nearly 5,500 kilometres. To bring this together, the organisers of Baku 2015 have recruited some of the best talent the world has to offer. They'll be led by creative director Dimitris Papaioannou in order to showcase Azerbaijan and start the first ever European Games in style. Papaioannou was behind the spectacular shows at Athens 2004, and 11 years on he's looking to top that with a groundbreaking show to capture the essence of the Caucasian country.
This is the creative office. This is the space where we communicate and experiment and draw and make what is an idea and an energy flow and a concept into a real show that is both big and engaging and moving, but at the same time captures something of the essence. The basic thing that concerns me is to create the environment of the stadium in an architectural space that hosts images and not to a stage, not to fragmented stages that host one scene here and one scene there.
The closing ceremony will be just as magnificent. A farewell show reuniting 6,000 athletes from the 50 competing nations. Overseeing this will be James Hadley, a man with over 25 years of experience in professional theatre and directing large-scale events.
I've worked extensively with Cirque du Soleil. I was senior artistic director for their North American shows, and I worked pretty much on all of them. These are really large-scale shows. They have a lot of acrobatics in them, and so I really wanted to bring some of that style into the closing ceremony of the Baku 2015 Games. What's the wow factor? What are people going to be amazed by? For me, that's always the struggle, is trying to not stay complacent and look for what's new, what's fresh, what's going to make people excited and say, wow, I've never seen this before. The show, I want it to be fun, I want it to be dynamic, exciting, and I want, above all else, I want the athletes to have a great time. Being here at the stadium and realizing, okay, this is where it's happening is really a fantastic experience. I really am looking forward to sharing this show with Azerbaijan and with the world.
With the preparations drawing to a close, the focus will soon fall on the athletes to deliver at Baku 2015.
I think the fact that, it's the first ever European Games, it's another chance to fight at a multi-sport event, so I always, buzz off that and like the environment, and, it's a real feel-good environment, so I'm looking forward to fighting there. They're always quite loud and feisty, so I reckon, if I fight Azerbaijan, I'll have to be, really on my game and expect a fight.
Baku 2015 is going to be something very new and special for me. The main goal in Baku will be understanding my own limits, as I will face senior athletes instead of under-20s. Baku 2015 will be one of my first experiences at the senior international level, so let's see what happens.
It's going to be such a historical event with it being the first European Games, and you can't really get any bigger than that. We're all there to win the gold medal, but only one person comes out with a gold medal, and I plan to be that person.
We prepare for years for one race. The same training, day after day, month after month. You need to be dedicated, determined, almost obsessed. It comes down to very little. It's a tiny difference between number 1 and number 5. If you want to win, if you want to be the best, you've got to find 101%. That's what motivates me every day, finding that little bit extra.
I want to be the best female boxer of all time. I want to make history in my sport, and that just inspires me every day.
It's the first ever European Games, and I'm going to try and win. What I've got to do is do my best race and see where I can go.
We have that ambition to be the best. We have ambition to get back home with the gold medal. We always have joke here in Serbia, if you don't win the gold medal, don't come home at all.
After having won Olympic titles, world titles, European titles, it would be really special to add the European Games. The Dutch team wants to bring the best riders we have, and for us it's really important to do well in the European Games.
Marianne Vos won't be the only cycling star to feature in Baku. A competitive field of Pro Tour riders, such as Dutchman Niki Terpstra, Italian Elia Viviani and Frenchman Julien Alaphilippe, will battle the elements of the Azeri capital, ensuring plenty of excitement over 215 kilometres of awkward terrain including tricky cobbled surfaces. In mountain biking, Czech star Jaroslav Kulavi, the reigning Olympic champion, will renew his rivalry with multiple world champ Nino Schurter. In the women's event, his Swiss compatriot Yolanda Neff will go for gold against France's finest Pauline Ferrand-Prévot. The French also bring a world-class BMX team, which includes former world champion Joris Dodet and four-time rainbow jersey winner Nathalie Potier. Triathlon is one of the fastest-growing sports across the globe, and Europe can field several top athletes. The favourite to win the men's race will be world number 3 Fernando Alaza, who's had an impressive 2015 with a run of top 5 finishes. Boxing will play a big part at the first European Games. Super heavyweight Joe Joyce and middleweight Anthony Fowler will lead a strong GB team. Both took gold at the 2014 Commonwealth Games. Though they'll come from all corners of Europe to compete at Baku 2015, for those of home persuasion, the pressure will be intensified just that bit more.
I couldn't imagine myself doing anything else. It is a very big responsibility because I'm performing on behalf of my country, Azerbaijan. I really want the nation to be proud of me. It is an honor to take part in a tournament of this importance, especially when you perform well and get cheered by the crowd. The feeling is amazing. I'll try my best to become European champion.
I have been fencing for 15 years. I started when I was 12. It is a very big responsibility to represent Azerbaijan in these games. A successful performance for me is to win, to show my best fencing and to please my trainer.
A whole host of Azeri athletes will be competing on home soil this summer. In wrestling, reigning Olympic champion Togrul Askarov will feature in Baku alongside former world champion Haji Aliyev. In judo, one of the men to beat will be Elmar Gasimov, who'll try to better the silver medal he won at the European Championships in Montpellier. Triple jumper Nazim Babayev is expected to excel after winning bronze at last year's Youth Olympic Games in Nanjing. Marina Durunda rose to prominence in Baku when the city hosted the 2014 Rhythmic Gymnastics European Championship. She'll turn 18 on the day of the opening ceremony. All these stars will carry the hopes of a nation in Baku, a nation whose sporting obsession is deep-rooted. Combat sports remain the most popular in Azerbaijan, wrestling especially, with 7 of the nation's 10 medals at the 2012 Olympics coming in the event. Participation in karate, sambo, judo and boxing are also high, as the public strive to emulate their heroes and build lasting relationships. Chuvgan, an early form of polo dating back over 1,000 years, is still played today, as is chess. Azerbaijan remains one of the globe's superpowers at the ultimate game of strategy, regularly staging world-class competition. In fact, the nation takes chess so seriously, there's a state programme for its development amongst children. The country has also embraced the role of spectator, no more so than at the recent Rhythmic Gymnastics, where fans turned out in their thousands, just as they did for the Eurovision Song Contest in 2012.
It was incredible atmosphere. Like, everyone is so excited outside. They know, that we have a lot of guests coming around the world. And this time it's going to be even more guests coming to the country. And people in Azerbaijan, they like the atmosphere, the guest atmosphere. They love celebration.
To help those celebrations run smoothly, Baku 2015 will be graced by a collection of volunteers known as Flame Keepers. They'll play a pivotal role in ensuring the game's success.
Everyone welcome to Baku and to European Games.
Only one person comes out with a gold medal, and I plan to be that person.
For us, it's really important to do well in the European Games.
I could become the first player who won all the big tournaments on our continent. That would be really important for me.
to have incredible power to be at the top of this game.
We want to win by any means necessary, game by game, day by day, season by season.